Hello and welcome back to the Sentient Sock Puppets, where today we are going to be playing probably my favorite Sega Genesis game of all time, Rocket Knight Adventures. Now, unfortunately, this is a game that I still have yet to beat. A lot of these older games are all about memorization, and I just haven't gotten to the last levels enough to really memorize it. But why is it my favorite Sega Genesis game? Well, it's kind of hard to explain how well it controls, but this is one of the best feeling games I've ever played. I'm never usually a huge fan of 2D side scrollers, but this one just really captured me. I first heard about this game from another YouTube channel called GameStack. They're one of my biggest inspirations and probably my favorite YouTubers. Anyway, they were talking about this game, and later, when I went to Too Many Games in 2015, I actually met GameStack. But I also found this game, and I bought it for $14, so how could I really pass it up? The controls are a little hard to get used to at first, this whole boost thing that he can do. It's kinda weird, but you'll get used to it. Believe it or not, this is actually a game made by Konami. You know, the people who made Metal Gear Solid and then ruined everything when they let Kojima go. I think I made it to level 5 in this before, but I believe that there's 7 levels, so hopefully this time while I'm playing it for you guys I can get a little bit farther and not embarrass myself. Now I'm playing on a Retron 5 right now, and this background looks a lot better when you play on the original Sega Genesis hardware. There was also, I believe, a Super Nintendo port of this game, but it was actually called Sparkster instead. It played pretty similarly, but they went with a more cute design for our main character. Yeah, and you see how those ropes stayed in the... If you're playing it on original Sega Genesis hardware, it doesn't actually do that, and it just runs a lot better. But anyway, why am I doing this Let's Play? Well, I was a little bit bored and I had some time before work, but also I really wanted this video to kind of bridge my time in between my next review, which I can tell you guys, I'm going to be reviewing the new Doom on PlayStation 4. I picked it up because a coworker told me to play it, and it is amazing. It plays like a pretty fast-paced Halo, I guess. Anyway, I really wanted to platinum it before I reviewed it, and apparently two of the gold trophies are glitched out, so even though I've done everything that trophy requires, I can't get it for some reason. I think it's probably because Bethesda made that game. And as much as I love Bethesda, they have made some glitchy games. Another thing I love about this game, though, is how many layers of parallax scrolling there is. Just like, look at how many layers there are in the back of that. And here's the best part. Oh, I always try and kill those girls. Not thinking. These pigs always remind me of Oolong. I'm pretty like how they burst out into their underwear. Does anybody remember in Dragon Ball where Oolong Oolong wished for the underwear? Nope, I need to move. Anyway, I actually like Dragon Ball a lot more than I like Dragon Ball Z. It's a very unpopular opinion, but Akira Toriyama was actually trying to like make a story in Dragon Ball and not just make fights that are really, really long. I don't know. Dragon Ball Z is good, and I think that Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. But I love the Dragon Ball anime a lot more than Dragon Ball Z. Ah, I didn't even realize my health was that low. Now that I'm thinking about how I mentioned I got this at Too Many Games, I probably will be attending it this year, so if anyone is in Oaks, PA and is subscribed to this channel, I doubt it, but if anyone's in Oaks, PA or around that, if you go to Too Many Games, you'll probably see me. I'm also going to Comic-Con Friday the 3rd in Philly, just like I did last year, but David and Matey will not be joining me. It's just going to be me and my friend Ryan, who you saw in our Potato Cannons video. This is probably my favorite boss in the game. Right here is really hard. You gotta hold the charge while you jump around these spiders. And this took me probably the longest to memorize this part. Ah! It has been a little while since I played this, so. Also, just listen to that music. Like, I love the music in this game. It sounds kind of like a Sonic level. I always really liked the sound of the Sega Genesis. I don't know what it was, but it had this really cool electronic feel that you really didn't get on any of the other systems. It had this really nice deep bass to it. Super Nintendo never really had any of that. I mean, like the Doom soundtrack was better on the SNES, but I really think that was the only one. Out of all the crossovers that I've heard between the two platforms, I always like the music on the Genesis better. Which is kind of weird because I'm pretty much just a Nintendo fanboy. It kind of pains me to say that a little bit. Although it's kind of weird, I actually had a Sega Genesis as a kid, so I actually have a lot of nostalgia for the Genesis. I remember we had the Animaniacs game. We had Animaniacs, we had a Power Rangers game. We had Sonic Spinball. I feel like we had one more Sonic game, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, we had the X-Men game. Yeah, I can't remember any other games that we had for it. Oh, we had The Lion King, and I have most of those games again now. But I remember my parents got rid of it for some reason. I can't remember. I think we might have been borrowing it from somebody, but we borrowed it for like years. I remember us having it. But I remember when we got rid of it, then it was just we had our Game Boys. So it's kind of weird because the Sega Genesis has the nostalgia for me, but Nintendo has my loyalty. Alright, this is one boss I have never was able to learn the pattern of. So what I do, I just sit in this corner right here, and I do this. I get hurt every now and then, but I mean, he's not too hard. Kind of reminds me of Moldorm. I always love Legend of Zelda names for enemies. If any of you are wondering, Moldorm is he's the villain from the first temple in A Link to the Past, where he knocks you off the edge of its little arena, and you fall down in that dungeon. That dungeon always scared the heck out of me as a kid. Oh, and listen to the music right here, like that weird twangy. I don't even know what that instrument would be. This is probably my favorite track in the entire game. These spikes always throw me off, though. You can actually destroy them. Yeah, like, see, I destroyed that one. I hate this part. Alright, how many lives do I got? 4, okay. This part's weird. This was one of the hardest parts for me to get as well. I know that there's one part where 2 come. Yep, right there. I love the music. Like, I feel like they should make a movie of this. This would be like a really comedic scene. Ah, and I'm dead. I don't actually think they should make a movie of this game. Unfortunately, Rocket Knight is pretty much dead. I think a few years back that Konami had this thing where they like asked you what IPs that they still had that you were still interested in, and I think I voted for this. It was either that or Capcom. I might be mistaking myself. No, it was Capcom who was asking if you were interested in another Resident Evil. That's Capcom. Pretty sure I got this right. But this is one of my. I love looking back at this game to see what Konami used to be like. Now Konami's just making pachinko machines like a bunch of idiots. I also wish I could get this chicken to come with me everywhere I go. This boss annoys the heck out of me. Not in this stage, but he has 2 other stages that are really difficult. I think it's the second stage that I always have a problem with. Ah. But yeah, Rocket Knight is pretty much dead. They had this, they had the Sparkster, which was basically a port of this. And I believe that there was like a WiiWare game. See, I can never get the pattern of his hands down. The only place I know where I can hit them is eventually he'll pull them up like that, and you can charge up a shot and do that. And then right here. But then he always gets me with that second one. What's nice is that if you actually hit them, what would normally hurt you doesn't. So as long as you can really get one hit on him, he can't hurt you. There we go. And he is. And what's really nice is if you get close enough to him, your sword actually does double damage if you actually hit him with the sword. But you gotta make sure you don't stay there for too long. So you do more damage if it's close, but he keeps moving closer towards you, so if you mess up, he will get you. And I think he does like 2 or 3 hearts. Alright, so there's round 2. Level 2. And I've been recording for 16 minutes, so I'm going to end part 1 right here. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for part 2.